these notes are on using proportions to find unknowns. And so the big question that gets asked is where are we going to use the proportions? So in this case, we think about the Grand Canyon, and that if someone were to measure the length of the Grand Canyon or the width across it, you can't actually hold a tape measure across or figure it out. So what you do is you use proportions. So surveyors would use indirect distances sometimes and find similar triangles or proportions to figure it out. So our first example here is, you can see we have two triangles. The first triangle is, we have the whole triangle. We have R, S, P. Okay? And then we also have the triangle Q, T, P. Okay? So we actually have a triangle inside of a triangle. So my first step before I go ahead and figure out a missing portion of this triangle, or one of the triangles, is that I need to go ahead and separate my triangles and redraw them. So I'm going to go ahead and redraw my larger one first. And it doesn't have to be exact, okay, but it can be close to it. So we have R, S, T. I'm also going to label any information that I know about it. I know that this side is 95, and then I know that a portion of this one is 40, but I don't know what this is over here, so I'm going to label it X. Okay. I'll put dotted lines down for where this one was up there. Then I also have my smaller triangle that I'm going to go ahead and draw. Okay. So I have, again, I have Q for this one, T, and then I have P. So they do have, oops, this should be P. They do have one angle that's in common with them. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and include any information I know about it. I know that this is 90 over here, and then this portion right here is actually the same as this, so I'm going to call this X as well. Okay. So I've redrawn my triangles and I've correctly labeled them. Alright, and then we have, since my triangle PQT is similar to PRS, we need to go ahead and write a proportion to solve for X. So how I'm going to do that is that I'm going to go ahead and take my first side. We have side SR, which we know, okay, is equal to 95. Okay. Then I also have my side QT is equal to 90. Alright, and then for this one up here, I know that R to P here, okay, is equal to 40 plus X. And then side SP for my smaller triangle is equal to X. So I have my two proportional fractions there. Now to go ahead and figure out what X is, I'm going to go ahead and do 95 over 90 is equal to 40 plus X over X. Now the reason I can go ahead and do that is that because they're similar triangles, I know that the sides are going to be proportional to each other. So when I divide one side into the other, I know the proportions should come out the same, and that's why we can use that equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply here. So I have 90 times 40x, or 40 plus x, and then I have 95 times x. So I'm going to go ahead and circle this like this. 95x. Now I have an equation here that I can go ahead and solve. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute it out first. So 3600 plus 90x, 95x. I'm going to subtract 90x from this side, leaving me with 3600 over here. And then I left with 5x over here. Divide by 5. And I should get x is equal to, see, 5 goes into 3600. Let's say 720 times. So x is equal to 720. Okay. there's my x. And if I were to go ahead and plug this in up here, we have 720 on this side, and 720 on that side. What I want you to go ahead and do right now is pause your video. And go ahead and finish our proportion statements on your handout. Alright, now that you've gone ahead and worked on it, this is what we should get. Let's go ahead and check and see how you did. So for number 1, I have 2 triangles. I went ahead and redrew them. I went ahead and shaded in my smaller one to show which one was which. And you should get that 40 over 6 is equal to x over 100. And x is going to equal 66 2/3, or 66.66666. And it's just going to keep going on. Number 2, see I went ahead and shaded in my smaller triangle at the top here. And we can go ahead and get that 9/19 is proportional equal to 15 over x. And we get an answer of x is equal to 31 2/3. Number 3. Go ahead again and shade in my smaller triangle and bring it down here. Go ahead and get that 60/90 is equal to x over 45 plus x. Go ahead and solve it out, and I should get that x is equal to 90. And lastly is number 4. I actually had 3 triangles included in this one. I had my whole triangle, which I went ahead and redrew. Okay, that was my top one. I then had my smaller triangle here to the left, which I just shaded in for you. That's this one right here. And I actually went ahead and rotated it so it was the exact same look of my first triangle, making sure the correct sides were brought with it. And then lastly I have, let's throw this in, my last triangle down here at the bottom. Again, I went ahead and rotated this one so that the sides were the same and you can easily see the comparison to them. You can definitely figure that out a few different ways. The first one that I went ahead and did is to figure out x, and I used that x is corresponding to 20 and 52 corresponds to 20 here, giving me an x is a value of 7.69. Then I went ahead and did with my y, which I used down here. Again, I went ahead and corresponded with my larger triangle up here. So y to 48, and then 48 to 52, giving me a value of 44.31 equals y. Now to go ahead and check this, I actually went ahead and added up my 7.69 and 44.31, and I do get 52, so I know those do work. And then lastly, to get h, I went ahead and did h is similar to 48 up here, and then I went ahead and did 20 is similar to 52, okay? And then I go ahead and get h is a value of 18.46.